For a lot of people, the night shift is actually a pretty good gig. It's quiet, it's predictable, and you don't have to deal with the chaos of a 9 to 5. But that same isolation, that same deep, heavy quiet, can also become a source of absolute dread, especially when the routine is broken by someone with very bad intentions. So let's dive into how that exact feeling of comfort can just curdle into pure terror. This one sentence, spoken by a total stranger to a gas station clerk named Meredith, it just gets right to the core of it all, doesn't it? It's phrased like he's just being observant, maybe even concerned, but you know it's a threat. It's that awful moment when you realize, oh no, someone sees me out here all alone. So why even take these jobs? Well, it's kind of ironic, right? People take these jobs for the very thing that makes them so dangerous, being totally isolated. It gives you this false sense of security, this bubble of peace, and we're about to see that bubble get popped in a big way. What's so interesting here is just how everyone says the same thing. A hotel clerk, Meredith at the gas station, Daniel at a remote motel, they all wanted the same thing. Boring, quiet, predictable. Those were the perks. And that rhythm, that boring, predictable routine, that's the key. Because when you're used to absolute nothing, even the tiniest thing that's out of place feels like a massive earthquake. And that earthquake, it doesn't start with a big bang. No, it starts with a whisper, a gut feeling. Yeah, it's that first tiny moment when the quiet stops feeling peaceful and starts feeling like you're being watched. It's a feeling that starts small, but it grows fast. And look, in situations like these, your intuition is everything. It is your first line of defense when your logical brain is still trying to make excuses for what's happening. It's that little alarm bell in the back of your head that's just screaming, something's not right here, way before you can even find the proof. And this chart, it just perfectly shows you how it all starts. Think about it. Every single one of these things is so easy to just brush off, right? A weird guest, maybe he heard your name somewhere, kids playing a prank. But in every story, it's the same pattern. One little detail, one thing that's just off, breaks that routine and plants that first little seed of doubt. Which, of course, leads to the big question they all had to face. At what point do you stop trying to explain away the weirdness and start admitting you might be in real danger? Like, at what point are you just being paranoid? And at what point is your paranoia actually trying to save your life? Right, because that little gut feeling, it doesn't stay just a feeling for very long. Those weird little details start to morph into really overt acts of intimidation and psychological games, and that's when you know, without a doubt, that this isn't random. This is on purpose. Meredith's story with the stalker, Paul, wow. It's a textbook example of this kind of escalation. Look at the difference between what he said and what he did. He plays it off like he's just curious or pays attention. But leaving a close-up photo of her, keeping a notepad of her schedule, what he's doing is classic predator behavior. He's testing her boundaries, pushing to see what he can get away with, and all while trying to make her feel like she's the crazy one. Okay, so for the hotel clerk, the escalation happened in a really chilling way. It all started with the computer system. He's just bored messing around on the computer, and he checks the reservation. And suddenly, the man who's been sitting in the lobby for an hour just doesn't exist. The check-in, the credit card transaction, it's all gone. And that's when it hits him, this guy isn't a guest. He has absolutely no reason to be there. And once the clerk knows this, everything the man does becomes 100 times more terrifying. He's not just some guy who can't sleep anymore. He's an intruder. He's walking the halls, standing in dark corners, just staring. Suddenly, his quiet, empty hotel feels like a hunting ground, and he's the only one there. Okay, but this next one, Daniel's story at the motel, this is straight out of a horror movie. He keeps hearing the front desk bell ring, but there's nobody there. Then he sees it, a pale hand reaching up from underneath his side of the desk to ring the bell. He realizes the person ringing the bell isn't running away. They've been there the whole time, hiding literally inches away, right under his own desk. And this quote? Man, it just gives you chills. After he runs into the back office, he looks at the security monitor, and there it is, proof. He sees the person who was hiding inches from his legs, now poking their head out and staring right into the camera, right at him. At that point, the game is up. The threat is real. It's right there, and it's staring right at him. So what do you even do then? The fear is probably paralyzing, and you're all alone. This is that critical moment we see in all these stories, the turning point, when that gut feeling and all that fear finally forces you to do something. It's almost never one big, heroic decision. Just look at the steps the hotel clerk had to take. First, he calls his manager, who pretty much tells him to just ignore it. Then, when it gets worse, he calls the non-emergency line. It's only when he sees this guy standing right outside a guest store that he finally calls 911. It's this whole ladder of escalation, and each step is taken because he's becoming more and more certain that something awful is about to go down. And that's the key, really. 4. In all 4 of these cases, that final decision to trust their gut and get help was the most important thing they did. Whether it was finally calling the police or other customers stepping in to protect them, taking that step was what broke the spell. It's the action that almost certainly prevented something much, much worse from happening. But here's the thing, right? The story doesn't just end when the police show up or the guy runs away. That immediate danger might be gone, but the fear leaves an echo that just sticks with you long after that shift is over. So here's how things wrapped up, at least on the surface. An arrest, a restraining order, someone just getting scared off. And on paper, yeah, these look like endings, but they don't actually fix anything. That feeling of safety that got shattered, it doesn't just snap back into place. And this quote from Daniel really says it all. His motel desk, just a normal piece of furniture he sat behind every night, is now forever the place where he remembers that hand reaching up. His workplace, which used to be his quiet escape, is now a place of trauma. And it's not like that fear stays locked up at work either. Like Meredith says here, it follows you home. Something totally normal, like a car behind you on a dark road, is now a trigger. That paranoia becomes this constant passenger, because she knows from experience, sometimes the thing you're afraid of in the dark is absolutely real. Which really leaves us all with this one final, really unsettling question. When you're all alone in the quiet, and that little voice in your head says, something's wrong, how do you know? And I think what these stories teach us, and what's so terrifying, is that sometimes your worst fears are completely 100% justified.